Hello everyone, so today's video is going to be talking about why I really haven't been playing too much squad outside of the One Life events, and why you guys have really been seeing a lot of Postscriptum. So we'll talk about Postscriptum overall. Postscriptum, back when they were beta testing it and when there's only a couple public tests, it was a really fun game because it was really new and it had a lot of aspects that I want in squad, but they had it now in Postscriptum, which are like the decreased optics, right? Simply because it's World War II, there's less optics. The foliage is amazing. They had like just so many features alone, so many tank features already in that game in the small tests, and all these other cool things that made it really appealing. Now, when they launched, they went through a lot of controversy. The game launched and it wasn't ready for launch. I'll say that right now. It was very laggy. There was like very poor optimization. They didn't have rally points, which were like really, there was a huge oversight because like squads would then trickle in and there was no teamwork. Like Postscriptum went through this huge phase where after launch, there was barely any teamwork or communication through it, which made it very unappealing for me, which is why I was playing squad. But recently, there's been a lot of changes within Postscriptum that have really made it an appealing game for me. Number one, the teamwork is back in there. The commander role adds a lot to the coordination of other teams, and then I find like a lot more people are using communication now. That might also be because I'm playing on, our own server, which is a squadops.gg server, and, we kind of expect higher communication there. But it's been a lot better communication-wise. Like before, when I played Postscriptum at launch, it was really hard for me to coordinate with people. No one talked with command comms or on squad leaders. And right now, it's just been a lot better, as you've seen in my recent games. Like, you have people easily coordinated. The second reason why I didn't really like Postscriptum after launch was because of the rally point system. I thought that, at first, I kind of enjoyed that there was no rally, but then I started to realize how much that affected gameplay and how that kind of broke down team gameplay, because squads would then trickle in man by man instead of having a point that they could group up and move with. It was really, really annoying, and it felt like just a large team deathmatch. But they made a lot of changes and a lot of additions to the game that I greatly enjoy. One of the newest additions that they've added are the Airborne, the 82nd Airborne US faction, as well as the Velmolen map. Now, Velmolen as a map is absolutely stunning. It is hands down my favorite map in squad and Postscriptum for two reasons. Number one, the map is not that large. It's just perfectly sized. I think that it could be a little bit larger, but you aren't running these massive distances from point to point. The points are pretty relatively close together, and you can pretty easily move and engage and keep that tempo of gameplay up. Velmolen as a size and cap points, like distance from cap point to cap point, is just perfectly done. The second thing I love about Velmolen is the detail. Now, a lot of the maps in Postscriptum, like Halcyon or a lot of them, they're using height maps. They're accurate. It's realistic in a sense, but they're extremely flat. I need microterrain. Velmolen is the first map that really had a lot of microterrain. Another map that kind of reminds me of this is the new Yihurvga update, where they kind of did all the repass with the trenches and all that stuff, all that microterrain. That's so good for gameplay. It's cool to have a realistic, like 1-to-1 ratio maps and fields and buildings, but you need to add microterrain on your pass through as a developer, because fighting on flat ground with trees as your only cover, that's a big issue, and that's a big issue that was in squad. They've done passes recently in squad on Belaya and a couple of the other maps to add more ground cover, more rocks, more trees and stuff, but Velmolen has the perfect mixture of like craters, trenches, blown out vehicles, just beautiful assets in game. I think there's like a blown up stug in there and other vehicles that kind of add to the cover that you can move between, and it just really adds to that micro firefight environment and experience. You have cover to move to. It feels like a living world when you're engaging. Halcyon kind of feels like that because it's a big map and you have these nice, beautiful buildings, but once you start playing it a lot, you realize how flat the ground is. And it's unnatural how flat it is. Whereas in Velmolen, as you're running through the forest, you'll notice little creek beds and a lot of detail added to the like shelves of dirt that are around you. And it's just, it feels on the micro level extremely immersive, not just on the macro level. And I think that's extremely important. And we've seen Hell Let Loose in the gameplay trailers and in the trailers, cinematic trailers as well. They've added a lot of microterrain. I always talk about that mud in those trailers, but I think that's really key to good hardcore gameplay, because while having a realistic experience is very important, you need to make sure that the firefight gameplay is engaging. And a lot of times in squad, what I'll have what I'll be running into is I'll be running in along the map, and because there's very low cover, you just drop dead. I'm talking about maps like Kohat. I'm talking about maps like Balai just got the rework, but Camdesh is a little better on the more cover side. But even Talil, like, I liked how they added Talil, and Talil is a beautiful map in its own right, but it's just so flat, and it's not good for gameplay, because the firefights are over in almost seconds, or they're hardened points, and it turns into a meat grinder on the compounds. So Talil is a cool new map, but it's just, once again, it's really flat. You have sand dunes out there that are these kind of bumps in the terrain, but it's not enough. You need micro terrain, you need like ruins, you need burnt out vehicles, you need stuff that infantry can move to cover to keep these firefights alive, and to keep your time alive higher, rather than just, okay, smoke and push across the open. It's just not fun. Squad is just not fun, because I find that experience happening every time I go back now to play squad. I'll run into this issue where it's like, there's no fucking cover anywhere. There's a tree here, there's a tree there, there's a bush, there's a single bush in the open, but that's it. Like, it's such a stale kind of engagement, where every time I play Postscriptum, especially in particular Velmolen, it's an experience. It's cinematic, it's good for gameplay. You have a lot of cover to move to, which keeps you alive more often. And I think that's what's most important about these games, is that, yes, the time to kill is as brutal and as hard as it can be, but you give players opportunities to stay alive, which means cover, concealment, and armor transport, stuff like that, things that keep players alive outside of the normal time to kill, by altering the health in any manner. Because Postscriptum is a really hardcore game. One shot with a rifle usually kills you if it's a chest shot. So I really enjoy that about Postscriptum's map design. About the time to kill and stuff like that, I do enjoy how it is one hit kill, but I actually wish that they added a couple things from squad in this regard. I do think that the new revive system in squad, how anyone can revive anyone, would do very well in Postscriptum, because how hardcore the game is, and how core the damage is. It's really important to get these guys back up, and I think if we added that to Postscriptum, it'd be a really fun experience, because squads would be able to stay together a little bit longer. I love the new respawn mechanic in Postscriptum. The recall with the Radio Man, I think it's fantastic. And I also like how Radio Man are now a thing, so that commanders can play on the field and call in air assets while they're out there with the troops. They don't have to sit next to their command comm, the fob, or the main. They can be in the field with the troops. I think that's an awesome experience for the commander once he knows how to use it. Another thing I wish that we had is fire teams. I know in squad it doesn't really get used that much, but I use them a lot. And I feel like in Postscriptum, they'd be used a lot as well. So fire teams would definitely be awesome in Postscriptum. But yeah, I mean, Postscriptum just has a lot of fun things. The commander slot, especially with the new artillery rounds, the howitzer rounds, it's just so immersive, seeing those huge-ass explosions blow up. And they work really well for gameplay, You're able to unroot people from defense with the artillery, the dive bombs, and the gun runs. It's just a great tool that mixes up the meta a lot, because you're able to do a lot of cool things with these new assets. I do wish that the fob building, or you were allowed to put respawn locations as defenders in the cap zones. I think that's a little wonky. I don't know how I feel about the red zone on cap points, where you can't put like rallies or fobs and stuff. That kind of feels like it's very intrusive into the immersion. Like, it feels like, oh, like I can't put this here because I'm in the red zone, and it feels like a very gamey mechanic in a way. But it's just something that, I'm it's not really a big deal for me, but it's something that does, it's like, I want to put a rally here. It's like, no, you can't. It's just annoying. One thing I really like about Postscriptum as well that really differs it from squad is the armored gameplay. The scout cars, the tanks, while the damage model in the tanks in squad are also there, like you can damage a turret, you can damage the tracks and stuff like that. The thing about Postscriptum that is really, really, really important is that the turrets are locked to a WASD system. You cannot use your mouse. The sensitivity and the speed and the traverse speed of the turret is locked, which means that there's a certain amount of skill when it comes to tank versus tank combat, or armor versus armor combat in Postscriptum. In squad, it's really easy to snap to a target because you're using the mouse. You can't really outplay tanks too easily, or with much difficulty in squad. Excuse me, I'm getting all mixed up here. For example, in squad, when you have two tanks going up against each other, it's really easy for one tank to swivel the turret to the other tank, even if both tanks are moving, just because the mouse control is so much easier to use than the WASD control in Postscriptum. But I like how it's hard, because you're able to do things in Postscriptum that you can't do in squad, like outmaneuver the enemy squads, the enemy tanks turret with your own vehicle. You know, pushing past his traverse speed is really fun, and it's like, it reminds me of that scene in Fury where they're pushing the Sherman past the Tiger, and it's that you don't have that in squad because you can swing the turret around so fast. So that's something that I really enjoy about Postscriptum armor mechanics, is that it does have another added level of skill to it. So it's just like, Postscriptum has so many features that I want in squad right now, but Postscriptum just has it now. Better suppression, commander assets, better armor gameplay, better map design as far as Valmolen. I think if they did something like a Valmolen pass, like a detail pass with trenches, blown out craters, and blown out vehicles on all their maps, oh my god, dude, Postscriptum would, like, I would never have to play any other game, because Valmolen is just one of the best maps I've ever played in my entire life in any video game. It's just got so many great places to fight, it's got so much detail in it, and it's just so perfectly spaced out to where it's not like a team deathmatch in one area, but it's a gentle progression throughout the map on any invasion layer. So I really do enjoy that. But that's pretty much, you know, my thoughts on the current state of squad and Postscriptum. This also probably has to do a lot with the fact that I've played like 2,000 plus hours of squad. I still play squad. I still play squad ops, one life events, and I still hop in the server every now and then. But every time I go back, I gotta say, man, like, I just feel all the things that's missing from Postscriptum. Postscriptum has done a great job since release, and I think if you have not played Postscriptum since it released and you had that bad taste in your mouth, give it another try, because it truly is a great experience. I'm addicted to it now. It's such a good, fleshed out experience, and they're always pushing out hotfixes, pushing out new updates. It's a great team, and they're making a lot of changes. So they haven't just like released the game and just let it die. They made active strides to improve the game. So give it a second shot. Give it a third shot if you haven't yet. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I'll be over there on the squadops.gg singles 24/7 server. You'll catch me over there. And then, of course, we still have the squad server, the invasion server for squad ops, and the RAAS server. So I'll be on those as well. But definitely check it out if you haven't yet, guys. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. These are just my thoughts on the current state of Postscriptum and squad, and why I haven't been playing too much squad. I hope you'd enjoy. I hope you have a great holidays. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And thank you once more again to all my Patreon supporters as well as channel subscribers. So make sure you hit that bell button, subscribe button, and if you're feeling like it, hit that join button down below. You'll get a cool Karmakut badge as well as a couple live stream goodies. So thanks so much again, and I'll see you all in the next one.